Vernostonus, also known as Vernostonos, was a local god of alder trees at Ebchester in County Durham. Vernostonus means groaning of the alder trunks, suggesting he was worshipped as the personification of alder trees. The cult of Vernostonus thrived at Ebchester in County Durham, which lay in the ancient lands of the Brigantes. The Brigantes were the largest tribe in northern Britain during the Roman occupation. Historians believe the Brigantes were a loose federation of small tribes unified under the leadership of a Celtic king or queen. In approximately 80 AD, the Romans built Vindimora Fort on the site of the present-day village of Ebchester. A votive altar and inscription honored the god Vernostonus Cocidius in the late 1st century AD.
To the god Vernostonus Cocidius, Virilis, a German, willingly fulfilled his vow.
Virilis probably served as a Roman auxiliary soldier at Vindimora. The Romans at Ebchester merged the cults of the local Celtic gods, Vernostonus and Cocidius. Cocidius was a widely revered warrior god of the Brigantes. The Romano-British deity, Vernostonus Cocidius, means Cocidius of the alder tree. Some historians argue that the Romano-Celtic god, Vernostonus Cocidius, implies Vernostonus was simply another name for Cocidius during the Roman era. Cocidius, whose name means the Red One, was a prominent god of war and hunting in northern Britain. A carving at Maryport in Cumbria showed Cocidius as a horned deity. Celtic horned gods were associated with hunting, forests, wild animals, and the wilderness. The numerous dedications to Cocidius attest to his widespread worship among the Roman soldiers stationed along Hadrian's Wall. The Romans equated Cocidius to Mars, their god of war, and Silvanus, the Latin god of forests and untamed spaces. A bronze plaque at Bew Castle in Northumberland depicts the Romano-Celtic god, Mars Cocidius, as a divine warrior carrying a spear and shield. The Romans referred to the fort at Bew Castle as Fanum Cocidi, which means the Temple of Cocidius. The Romans paired Cocidius with Silvanus at Housesteads and Risingham forts in Northumberland. At Risingham, the Romano-Celtic god, Silvanus Cocidius, was portrayed as a hunter standing in a forest, holding a bow and a dead hare. At Ebchester, Cocidius may have been known by the alternative name of Vernostonus, suggesting that alders were sacred trees in his cult. Alders were associated with war, death, and sacrifice in the Celtic tradition because their pale trunks changed to a bright red color when cut. The red sap, oozing from their trunks, resembles blood seeping from a wound. These miraculous transformations would have had deep spiritual significance in the mysteries of Cocidius's cult. Vernostonus was a nature god who represented the Celts' reverence for alder trees. Alders were supernatural bridges between the mortal realm and the other world, because of their ability to flourish both on land and in water. The Balachulish figure was a sculpture of a goddess made from alder wood in 600 BC. The goddess guarded the gateway to the netherworld as she gazed across the hallowed waters of Loch Leven in Scotland. The Druids divined the future by studying the smoke and flames rising from fires made of alder logs. Celtic warriors carried shields fashioned from alders in the belief that the wood inspired the protection and ferocity of the deities in the other world. At Ebchester, Cocidius's followers may have gathered in a sacred alder grove to invoke the divine protection of Vernostonus during times of war. Archaeologists at the University of Leicester found a rare late Iron Age shield made from alder and willow bark. The shield was discovered near the River Soar in Leicestershire. The wood of alder trees was ideal for shields because of its lightweight, water-resistant, and durable properties. Alder shields were impervious to weapons, rain, and easy to carry during combat. The cuts on the shield were probably made during a battle in approximately 300 BC. Similar shields were discovered in several Iron Age graves, at Rudston and Garton Station in East Yorkshire. The British tribes recognised the water-resistant properties of alder trees long before the arrival of the Celts. The Neolithic builders of the Sweet Track in Somerset used alder logs during its construction in 3200 BC because the wood does not decay when submerged in water. Archaeologists found a dug-out canoe made from the trunk of an alder tree at Whittlesea in Cambridgeshire, dating to the Bronze Age. Vernostonus symbolized the long-held beliefs that alders were sacred trees imbued with the power of the other world. The human-like characteristics of alder trees were omens that the living spirit of Vernostonus dwelt within their hallowed trunks. His followers received the gifts of protection, ferocity, and prophecy in return for their devotion. The Romans transformed Vernostonus into a Romano-Celtic god of war by merging his cult with Cocidius. Alder trees were likely sacred in the cult of the Celtic god Vernostonus Cocidius because of their association with war, death, and sacrifice. Vernostonus remains a mysterious deity of the alder trees that flourished in the rugged landscape of northern Britain. The gods and goddesses revered by the Celts are discussed in our WordPress blog, Legends of Love in Celtic Mythology. The book, Green Man, The Gods of Sacred Trees, available on Amazon, explores the ancient woodland deities of Britain, Ireland, and Europe.